You're nothing without Dad's money, Jake. Sign the papers. My brother Marcus slammed the inheritance documents on the table in front of me, his face red with the kind of rage only entitled people seem capable of. I looked down at the contract that would sign away my 50% stake in our late father's tech company. The company Dad had built from nothing. The company he'd specifically left to both of us equally. Marcus, Dad wanted us to run this together. That's what his will says. I'm not signing anything. My mother, sitting on the leather couch in Marcus's expensive downtown loft, sighed dramatically. Jacob, don't be difficult. Your brother knows what he's doing. You're just a programmer. Marcus has the business degree. This is what's best for the family. I stayed calm. I'd learned over the past 6 months since Dad died that staying calm was the only way to survive in a family that had suddenly turned toxic. Mom, I'm a senior software engineer. I built half the products that make this company profitable. And Dad's will was clear. Marcus leaned down, his face inches from mine. His breath smelled like the scotch he'd been drinking since noon. Listen to me, you little shit. I'm the oldest. I've earned this. You got lucky. Dad felt sorry for you. Sign the papers, or I'll make your life hell. No. That's when he hit me. Not a slap. A full punch to my jaw that sent me stumbling backward into the bookshelf. My vision blurred for a second, and I tasted blood. I looked up at him, my hand on my face, and my mother didn't gasp. She didn't stand up. She didn't tell her son to stop. She smiled. That small, satisfied smile I'd seen my whole life whenever Marcus got what he wanted and I didn't. Maybe that'll teach you some respect, she said quietly, examining her manicured nails. Marcus grabbed my shirt collar, yanking me close. You're worthless, Jake. You've always been worthless. Dad just pitied you because you were the accident baby, the one Mom didn't even want. Sign over your shares, move on with your pathetic little coding job, and let the adults handle real business. He shoved me backward again. This time I hit the floor. And that's when I knew. I knew I was done being the family punching bag. Done being the younger brother who was supposed to smile and take it. Done pretending that blood meant anything when it came with bruises. I stood up slowly, wiping blood from my lip. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I just said, I need to use the bathroom. In Marcus's guest bathroom, I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From something else. Clarity, maybe. I opened the folder I'd created 3 months ago. The one labeled evidence. I'd been documenting everything since the will reading when Marcus first showed his true colors, every threatening text message. Every email about restructuring the company that was actually about pushing me out, every financial discrepancy I'd noticed in the company books. But I needed more. I turned on my phone's recording app, put it in my shirt pocket, and walked back out. So? Marcus demanded. You ready to stop being stupid? I want to understand something first, I said. Why do you think you deserve full control? He laughed. Because I've been running this company since Dad got sick. Because I'm the one who knows the investors, who handles the deals, who actually matters. You just write code like a trained monkey. And you think Dad would want that? Want you to have everything? Dad was sentimental, Mom interjected. He gave you shares out of guilt. But we all know Marcus is the real son, the real leader. Your father always said Marcus reminded him of himself. That's interesting, I said slowly. Because I have Dad's journals. The ones he kept during his last year. Want to know what he actually wrote about you, Marcus? My brother's face went pale. You're lying. Am I? Dad wrote about how you've been skimming money from client accounts. How you've been inflating your expense reports. How you told him the company was struggling when actually, you were just hiding profits in a personal account. He knew everything, Marcus. He knew, and he was going to report you to the board before the cancer got too bad. Bullshit. Marcus lunged at me, grabbing my throat. You're making this up. I didn't fight back. I let him choke me for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5. Long enough for the recording to capture everything. Then I drove my knee into his stomach and broke free, gasping. Mom, I wheezed. You going to stop him? She stood up, but not to help me. Marcus, enough. We can't have him filing assault charges. Just throw him out. Throw me out. Of my brother's apartment, sure. But they thought they could throw me out of my father's legacy. Out of my rightful place. I looked at both of them, these people who were supposed to love me, and I saw nothing but greed wearing a family's face. I'm leaving, I said. But this isn't over. Marcus smirked, the same smile Mom had given me earlier. You got that right, little brother. Tomorrow I'm filing an emergency petition with the board, claiming you're mentally unstable, unfit to hold shares. I've got 3 board members who'll back me up. By next week, I'll have your 50%, and you'll have nothing. I nodded slowly. Good to know. Thanks for telling me. I walked out, got in my car, drove home to my small apartment across town, the one I'd kept even though I could afford better, because Dad had taught me not to waste money on appearances. And then I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Susan Park, my father's longtime attorney, the one who'd actually written his will, who'd known my father for 20 years. The one Marcus thought was just some old family friend who'd rubber stamp whatever he wanted. Susan, it's Jake. I need you to execute Clause 17 of Dad's will. There was a pause. Then, are you absolutely sure? That clause it's nuclear, Jake. Your father only put it in there as a last resort. I'm sure. Marcus just assaulted me and threatened to have me declared mentally unstable to steal my inheritance. I've got it recorded. He told Mom to smile while it happened. I'm done. Another pause. Then I heard her smile through the phone. Your father always said you were the smart one. Okay. I'll file the emergency petition first thing tomorrow morning. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? Yeah. And Susan? There's more. Financial fraud. I've been digging through the company books. Marcus has been stealing. I've got evidence. Email it to me. Encrypted. We're going to need it. The second call was to the board chairman, Richard Chen. He'd been Dad's college roommate, the first investor in the company, and a man who'd watched me grow up. Richard, it's Jake. I need to talk to you about Marcus. Tonight, if possible. We met at a coffee shop. I showed him everything. The doctored expense reports, the hidden account in the Cayman Islands, the fake vendor invoices, the inflated salaries for Marcus's friends who didn't actually work at the company. 3 years of systematic theft, totaling over $2 million. Richard's face went from concerned to furious to heartbroken in the span of 20 minutes. Jesus Christ. Your father. Jake, your father came to me 6 months before he died. He said he was worried about Marcus, that something felt wrong, but he didn't have proof. He asked me to watch out for you, to make sure you got a fair shot after he was gone. I'm not asking for a fair shot anymore, Richard. I'm taking what's mine. What do you need? An emergency board meeting. Tomorrow. Before Marcus can make his move. You'll have it. The third call was to my father's old friend from the FBI. Tom Bradford, retired now, but still connected. Still someone who knew things. Tom, it's Jake Sullivan. I need advice on reporting corporate fraud. 2 hours later, I had a plan. Not just to defend myself. To dismantle everything Marcus had built on lies. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my laptop, compiling every piece of evidence into a presentation. Not an emotional plea. Just facts. Numbers, dates, bank statements, emails where Marcus directed his assistant to handle the books creatively. Screenshots of the offshore account. Transaction records showing company money flowing out and personal money flowing in. By sunrise, I had a 70-page document that would destroy my brother's life. The emergency board meeting was at 9 a.m. I got there at 8:30. Marcus showed up at 8:45 with Mom and his lawyer, a slick corporate attorney who probably cost $500 an hour. What the hell is this? Marcus demanded when he saw me sitting at the conference table. Richard, I called this meeting to address my brother's instability and his unfitness to. No, Richard interrupted. I called this meeting. Jake requested it. And per your father's bylaws, any board member can call an emergency session. Sit down, Marcus. My brother's face went red, but he sat. His lawyer sat next to him. Mom sat in the back, confident and smiling like she was about to watch her favorite son win another trophy. I stood up, opened my laptop, connected to the projector. Good morning. Thank you all for coming on short notice. I'm going to present evidence of systematic financial fraud, theft, and breach of fiduciary duty by the current acting CEO, my brother Marcus Sullivan. This will take approximately 30 minutes. Please hold all questions until the end. This is ridiculous, Marcus started, but Richard held up his hand. Let him speak, Marcus. You'll have your turn. I walked them through everything. Every fake invoice, every inflated expense report. The offshore account opened 2 months after Dad's diagnosis, when Marcus knew he'd be taking over. The pattern of payments to shell companies that didn't exist, the vendor kickback scheme. The embezzled client funds that Marcus had hidden by juggling the books. I showed them the emails. Marcus's own words, in his own email account, directing his assistant to make the numbers work, and Dad doesn't need to know about this account. I showed them the recording from yesterday. Marcus admitting he was planning to have me declared mentally unstable. Marcus choking me. Mom smiling. By the time I finished, 3 of the 6 board members were white-faced. 2 were openly angry. 1 was crying. Richard just sat there, jaw clenched, staring at Marcus like he was looking at a stranger. "Marcus," Richard said quietly. "Do you have a response?" My brother stood up. His lawyer tried to whisper something, but Marcus shook him off. "This is bullshit. Jake is lying. He's always been jealous of me, and now he's making up stories too." "The bank records are public, Marcus," I said. "The FBI can verify them. I've already given copies to federal investigators. This isn't a story. It's your life for the past 3 years, documented." His face drained of color. You went to the FBI? "This morning. Wire fraud across state lines is a federal crime. You've been transferring stolen money to an account in the Cayman Islands. That's the FBI's jurisdiction." Mom stood up. "This is outrageous. How dare you attack your own brother? After everything we've done for you." You smiled while he choked me, Mom. "You called me the son you didn't want. You enabled 3 years of theft. I don't think you get to play the victim here." Richard cleared his throat. "This board has a fiduciary responsibility to the company and its shareholders." Marcus Sullivan. "Effective immediately, you are suspended from all duties as CEO pending a full investigation." Jake Sullivan. "Per Clause 17 of your father's will, which states that in the event of gross misconduct by one heir, the other heir assumes full control, I'm appointing you interim CEO. The board will vote to make it permanent at our next session." "You can't do this," Marcus shouted. "I can, and I am. Security will escort you from the building. Your company email and access have been revoked. You are not to contact any employees, vendors, or clients. Your lawyer can coordinate the investigation with our legal team." Marcus turned to me, his face twisted with rage and something else. "Fear, maybe. You smug little shit. You think you've won? I'll destroy you. I'll sue you for everything." "With what money, Marcus? The $2 million you stole?" "The FBI has frozen your accounts. The offshore one too. Or maybe you'll use the salary you've been paying yourself?" "Oh wait, the board just suspended you, so that's gone. Face it. You're done." He lunged at me. Across the conference table, hands reaching for my throat again. But this time, 2 security guards were in the room. They grabbed him, pulled him back, restrained him while he screamed obscenities. Mom tried to follow him as they escorted him out, but Richard stopped her. "Patricia, you should know. We've reviewed the company's visitor logs. You've been in this building 73 times in the last 6 months, always with Marcus, always accessing financial records you had no authorization to view. I'm filing a formal complaint with the company's legal team. You may want to get your own lawyer." She looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in my life. "You've destroyed this family." "No, Mom. Marcus destroyed it when he chose greed over his brother. You destroyed it when you chose to enable him. I just documented it." She left without another word. The meeting ended. Board members came up to me, shaking my hand, apologizing for not seeing it sooner, praising my father's foresight in building protections into his will. Richard hugged me, tears in his eyes. "Your dad would be so proud of you, Jake. So damn proud." But I didn't feel victorious yet. I felt numb. Over the next 3 weeks, the dominoes fell fast. The FBI investigation went public. Local business news picked it up. Tech CEO, accused of embezzling $2.3 million from late father's company. Marcus's face was all over the business section. Not the successful entrepreneur he'd always painted himself as. A thief. A fraud. A violent man who'd assaulted his own brother on camera. His lawyer tried to make a deal. The prosecutor laughed. With the evidence I'd provided, bank records, emails, my recording, witness testimony from employees Marcus had intimidated, the case was airtight. Marcus was looking at 5 to 10 years in federal prison. His friends, the ones who'd been on the fake payroll, scattered. Deleted their social media, refused to talk to reporters. One of them, desperate to avoid charges, testified against Marcus in exchange for immunity, confirmed everything. The kickback schemes. The shell companies. The plan to force me out. Mom tried to play the victim on Facebook. Posted a long, rambling message about how family should forgive and how I'd torn apart our family over a misunderstanding. The comments section destroyed her. People who'd known Dad came out of the woodwork. Employees who'd watched Marcus bully people for years. Business partners who'd suspected fraud but had no proof. One comment, from Dad's former secretary, went viral. Robert Sullivan was a good man who built an honest company. His youngest son is carrying on that legacy. His oldest son and ex-wife are exactly why he put protections in his will. He knew. He always knew. Mom deleted her Facebook account 2 days later. The board vote to make me permanent CEO was unanimous, 6-0. I was 28 years old, running a tech company with 200 employees and $40 million in annual revenue. The company my father had built. The company I'd helped build, line by line of code, product by product. But the story didn't end there. Marcus's trial was scheduled for 6 months out. In the meantime, he made bail paid for by Mom, who'd liquidated her jewelry and retirement accounts. They were living together in a small apartment in the suburbs, a far cry from Marcus's downtown loft, which had been seized as evidence of ill-gotten gains. He tried to reach out twice. First through his lawyer, offering to settle this family matter privately if I dropped the charges and gave him a severance package. I told his lawyer that wire fraud was a federal crime prosecuted by the U.S. attorney, and I didn't have the authority to drop charges even if I wanted to. Which I didn't. The second time, he showed up at the office. Security called me before letting him in the building. Let him up, I said. But have 2 guards present. And record everything. He came into my office. Dad's old office, the one I'd inherited, looking smaller somehow. Thinner. His expensive suit was wrinkled. His eyes were bloodshot. Jake, he said. Please. I'm begging you. I'll pay back the money. I'll do whatever you want. Just help me. I'm your brother. I looked at him. This man who'd hit me, choked me, called me worthless. This man who'd stolen from our father while he was dying of cancer. This man who'd planned to have me declared mentally unstable to steal my inheritance. You're not my brother, I said quietly. You're a criminal who happens to share my DNA. My brother would have honored Dad's wishes. My brother would have worked with me to build something great. You're just someone who saw an opportunity and took it, consequences be damned. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. Doesn't that count for something? You're not sorry for what you did, Marcus. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. He tried again. Mom's sick. Did you know that? The stress, it's killing her. She's on blood pressure medication now. She cries every day. Mom made her choice. She chose you over me my entire life. She smiled while you choked me. She enabled your theft. Whatever stress she's under, she earned it. His face hardened. The mask slipped. You self-righteous prick. You think you're better than me? You're just lucky Dad felt guilty about having you. You're nothing special. And yet, I'm the one sitting in the CEO chair. I'm the one running the company. I'm the one who didn't commit federal crimes. Luck has nothing to do with it, Marcus. I worked hard. I stayed honest. I documented everything. You gambled that I'd be too weak to fight back. You lost. He stood up, trembling with rage. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. Security will escort you out. And Marcus? If you come here again, I'm filing for a restraining order. Don't test me. I watched through my office window as security walked him to the elevator. Watched him get smaller and smaller as the doors closed. And I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just the quiet relief of cutting out a cancer before it spread further. The trial happened on a Tuesday in October. I sat in the gallery, watching as prosecutor after prosecutor laid out the evidence. Marcus's lawyer tried to paint him as a struggling businessman who'd made accounting errors under stress. The jury didn't buy it. The evidence was too clear. The theft too systematic. The lies too documented. Guilty on all counts. 5 years in federal prison. Full restitution ordered. Though we all knew he'd never be able to pay back $2.3 million. His life, as he'd known it, was over. Mom didn't come to the sentencing. I heard later she'd had a breakdown, been hospitalized for a week. Part of me felt sorry for her. The smaller part. The part that remembered being 5 years old and wanting my mother to love me the way she loved Marcus. But mostly, I felt free. I transformed the company over the next year. Hired new people who shared Dad's vision of ethical business practices. Implemented transparent accounting systems. Created an employee profit-sharing program. Launched 3 new products that went on to win industry awards. Revenue grew 40%. Employee satisfaction scores went through the roof. And I started something else. A foundation called Second Sons for young professionals dealing with toxic family dynamics in family businesses. I'd learned through my ordeal that I wasn't alone. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of people trapped in similar situations. Younger siblings cut out of inheritances. Children abused by parents who saw them as ATMs. Families torn apart by greed disguised as love. We provided legal resources. Therapy connections. Business mentorship. A community of people who understood what it meant to choose self-respect over family obligation. At our first annual conference, I told my story. All of it. The abuse, the theft, the recording, the FBI, the trial. And at the end, I said something I'd been thinking about for months. Your family doesn't get to abuse you just because you share blood. You don't owe loyalty to people who see you as a resource to exploit. And when you stand up for yourself, when you document the abuse and demand justice, you're not destroying the family. You're refusing to let the family destroy you. There's a difference. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. 2 years after the trial, I got a letter. Prison mail. Marcus's name in the return address. I almost threw it away. But curiosity won. Inside, 3 pages of handwriting. Apologies. Excuses. Explanations about how prison had changed him, how he'd found religion, how he'd realized what he'd lost. How he hoped that someday, maybe, we could reconcile. At the bottom, I was wrong, Jake. About everything. You were always the better man. Dad knew it. I just couldn't see it through my own ego. I'm sorry. I read it twice. Then I put it in a folder labeled archive and moved on with my day. Maybe he was sincere. Maybe prison had changed him. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Some relationships, once poisoned, can't be purified. I'd spent 28 years trying to earn my brother's respect and my mother's love. I'd spent the last 3 years learning that I didn't need either. I had my father's legacy. I had a company doing good work. I had employees who respected me and a foundation helping others. That was enough. Last month, I visited Dad's grave for the first time since the trial. Stood there in the autumn wind, looking at the headstone that read Robert James Sullivan, father, entrepreneur, honest man. I kept my promise, Dad, I said quietly. I fought for what was right. I didn't let them turn me bitter. I built something good. The wind rustled the leaves on the oak tree nearby, and for just a second, I could have sworn I felt my father's hand on my shoulder. Proud. Peaceful. Free. I walked back to my car, the leaves crunching under my feet. My phone buzzed with a notification. The foundation's annual report was ready. We'd helped 83 people this year navigate toxic family business situations. 83 people who'd stood up for themselves. Who'd chosen self-respect over guilt. Who'd learned that sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who refuse to see your worth. I drove back to the office, past the suburbs where Marcus and Mom lived in their small apartment. Past the downtown loft Marcus used to own, past all the places that used to feel like prison when I was trying to be the son they wanted instead of the man I was. And I smiled. Because silence had seen everything. Documentation had won everything. And I'd survived not by being loud or aggressive or playing their games, but by being patient, thorough, and unwilling to let anyone, even family, define my value. They thought my age made me weak. They thought my kindness made me stupid. They thought my love for my father made me easy to manipulate. They were wrong about all of it. And by the time they realized it, I'd already won.